I've wanted to talk about this for a little while, so let's get started. Some writers don't seem to understand the difference between a realistically flawed character and an unlikable character. Actually, I want to rephrase that. Some characters may be reasonably flawed, but the writer treats them in a way that makes them feel unlikable. Two characters that fall into that category for me are Kamina from Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann and Luffy from One Piece. Before you all rage at me, I love both of these characters, but the way the narrative treats their actions when they do something wrong is what brings them down for me. No spoilers though. Unlikable characters are often put in the right for their behavior, even though the bad behavior seems to be uncalled for and excused by a bad past or something. For example, the thing I hate about the part of Gurren Lagann that features Kamina is that he constantly does harmful and stupid things with no regard for anyone else, and the narrative treats him like, oh, you guys should have believed in him because he was right and the end justifies the means. I am perfectly fine with Kamina himself acting like, but did you die? But when the actual show feels like it's praising him for shitty behavior, that's what bothers me. For Luffy, I'm debating on how to feel about his way of approaching conflict. As in, if Luffy is talking to a powerful villain who just happened to say, I hate all pirates and I'm going to kill every pirate I see, he grins and says, well, guess what? I'm a pirate! And then that one line is what causes him and his friends to get nearly murdered just so Luffy could have a puff of pride from sassing a bad guy. If he were my captain, I would probably deck him. Am I wrong in being pissed when a character who is supposed to be a leader willingly puts their entire team or family in grave danger for stupid reasons? I know there's way more context to both of these, and I have not seen very much of either show, but do I really have to have watched all of it to make the conclusion that these characters are being assholes and should be treated as such by the show? Oh, just thought of this, but Rick and Morty pulls this off. Rick is an asshole, and the show knows it. He is still the main character and still succeeds a lot of the time, but people aren't afraid to say, well, he shouldn't have done that in the first place. Why can't these shows do the same? Again, I love all three of these characters, but being able to admit that your character is in the wrong is important. Otherwise, it feels like you're trying to pretend their flaws don't exist or that they're not really flaws but special things, and you don't understand, they had a bad life. It's okay if they're mean to everyone around them because the world owes them that. No, the world still doesn't owe them anything, and you can be understanding of a character's feelings without excusing their actions. So, to clarify, I'm using the word unlikable for simplicity, but I don't find Luffy or Kamina to be unlikable, but rather misrepresented by the narrative surrounding them. They're both very interesting characters, and a big part of that is due to the very flaws I mentioned. It's not their flaws I dislike, it's how much they're justified. Or at least that's how the episodes I've seen have felt. Let's talk about another problem I see with unlikable characters. A character may be used to romanticize something problematic. No, don't get me wrong, ship what you want, but be careful when publishing, and still don't try to pass it off as healthy and okay. I almost fell into this trap once, but it's important to separate your fantasies from what you think is healthy for your characters, even if you still don't support that kind of thing happening in real life. Rule of thumb, if you would be pissed at someone for doing something in real life, then they are not excused from it in fiction. Building off both of these, always make sure your characters are not static. They should have flaws and they should screw up, but they should also grow as people. They should learn from their mistakes and at least show that they're trying to get better. And there are some flaws you just can't fix. One of my friends brought up being an introvert as an example. It could be considered a flaw because it can cause problems for the person, but at the same time, there's nothing inherently wrong with being an introvert. Like me. This character does not have to ever stop being an introvert, but they do need to develop and find ways to improve their life. Anyway, that's all I've got to say for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, you're always free to disagree with me or post your own point of view on something I've said. Just please be civil in the comments. Here are my links, here's some shameless self-promotion, and here's a cat. See you next time, now go read something.